On this day in history, March 6th, 1521, Ferdinand Magellan arrives at Guam. Included in the following is an excerpt from the 1944 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica going over the history of the island. Guam was discovered by Magellan in 1521. He was so much annoyed by the thefts which were committed by the natives that he gave the whole group of islands to which Guam belongs the name Islas de la Ladrones, Thieves' Islands. The name has still persisted to some extent, although the official name of the group was later established as Mariana, in honor of the widow of King Philip IV of Spain. There was no attempt to conquer Guam until the latter part of the 17th century, when the Spaniards subdued the island after considerable bloodshed. It remained a Spanish possession until 1898, when the U.S. warship, Charlestown, steamed into the harbor of Apra and commenced to shell the old fort. The Spanish governor, cut off from the communication with the outside world, took this as a friendly salute and surrendered the island without opposition when the situation was explained to him. Guam was ceded to the United States, and the other islands of the Marianas were sold by Spain to Germany in 1899. After World War I, Japan, which had occupied the German island possessions north of the equator, received these South Sea islands, the Marianas, Caroline, and Marshall groups, as a mandate under the League of Nations. Japan retained possession of the islands after it quit the League in 1935. Guam was entirely demilitarized after the Washington Treaty of Naval Limitation of 1922. The position of Guam in a U.S.-Japanese war was certain to be precarious, because the island is surrounded by the Micronesian islands, which Japan controls. The nearest of these islands, Rota, is only about 30 miles to the north of Guam. The question of fortifying Guam came up sporadically for consideration after Japan had denounced the Washington Treaty and thereby opened the way to fortification of the island possessions of other powers. Congress was never willing to appropriate funds for the purpose, partly because of the belief that such a move might precipitate war with Japan, partly because of doubt in the minds of some naval experts as to whether Guam, in its exposed position, could be made secure against air bombardment. Some funds for harbor improvement and provision of air facilities were voted in 1941, and a number of skilled workers were brought over from the United States in that year. But the force at Guam, some 400 Marines and about 155 sailors, was quite inadequate to protect an island which, with its fairly extensive coastline, offered a number of opportunities for landing to an attacking force. The Japanese effected landings in Guam in the first days of the war with the U.S., and the occupation of the island was apparently completed on December 12, 1941.